Am I the asshole for purposefully changing the picture submitted to my dad's church to include me? So I, 23F, was born when my dad and mom were in their early mid-20s. At that time, my dad was a wild partier that made a ton of bad decisions. So after a few casual hookups, there I was. Mom and dad weren't exactly close, so I ended up doing most of the year with her and summers with him. Around the time I was probably 4 or 5 years old, Dad found religion and went back to his Baptist roots. Which was great for him. Pretty soon after, he met a woman and had my 2 brothers. He also became a preacher and runs his own church, which has become pretty big and popular in this area of our rural, southern state. So they started this thing a couple years ago where every few months another good Christian family would be highlighted and get their picture put up on the wall with everyone's names, ages, and little family facts. It was a pretty cute practice, I thought. Well, everyone picked my dad this time around, and at family dinner, he told us about it and asked which picture we should use. I chimed in and said that we had a great one with all of us when we went hiking and took a selfie on the trail. It looked good and we were all grinning. Dad pulled me aside after and explained that they were going to have to use a picture without me in it. He reminded me I was born out of wedlock and was technically a bastard, and that his church was very judgmental and religious, so I couldn't be in the picture. Dad also made a point to say that I was a reminder of his wild days and he doesn't want that bad light on his good name since he's moved on into a Christ-following man. I tried to argue that I was a part of the family either way and that I deserved to be highlighted, but he told me absolutely not. So, when he asked little brother to send in the picture to the woman making the board, I asked him to submit the wrong picture. My brother sent in one where we were all together at the beach with my dad's arm around my shoulders. I was undeniably in the picture. I don't go to the church because I work weekends, but my brother said that some of the congregation asked about who I was in the photo and my dad had to explain the situation afterwards when my brother spoke up and said that I was his sister. That was a week ago. Dad called me the next day, furious and screaming. He said he knew what I did and said it was selfish of me to destroy his reputation like that when I didn't even go to his church and they didn't need to know who I was. I told him that I was part of the family either way and that even if I didn't attend the church, they should know I'm his daughter like they know my little brother who doesn't go. He told me off for bringing up his past, mistakes, and made me feel really horrible. Apparently some of his church members were gossiping about him and me, and it was causing issues at the church. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Am I the asshole? You are not a mistake, and you didn't destroy his reputation. You corrected it to exactly where it should be. Not the asshole. If he hadn't already told his congregation about you, and made sure that they knew he was still fulfilling his responsibilities as your father, then he missed a crucial part of Christ's message and was not being a good Christian. Not the asshole. I cannot stand hypocritical Christians. Your dad is honestly not the right person to lead a church, not because he had wild party days but because he is a liar. His congregation deserves to know who he really is. Not the asshole. Maybe remind your dad with a scripture, 1 Timothy chapter 5 verse 8. But if any provide not for his own, and specially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith, and is worse than an infidel. Just saying. Not the asshole. They're not gossiping about you. They're gossiping about their preacher keeping members of his family secret from his congregation. Where I grew up, your congregation was your family, too. Your dad's mad because he got found out for being shady. No one expects perfection, even his Lord. Not the asshole. Your dad had been denying your existence in front of God and everyone. He cannot be a father and do that. And he cannot claim to have reformed or whatever if he is going to pretend one of his children doesn't exist. To hell with him. Jesus said not to judge, so my judgment is not the asshole. I judge your father a massive asshole though. Point out he isn't being very Christian. Not the asshole. He's completely bypassing the point of being a Christian and thus needs to be humbled. You presented the truth, so there's nothing on you to feel bad about. He was willing to uphold a lie. He handles stress by anger and screaming. He's phony and cares more about image than walking the walk. Because of these issues he needed a wake-up call, and he should be happy you're doing it because if God has to do it he won't like that too much. Better too his congregation sees him for what he really is, as he could be a wolf in sheep's clothing. Not the asshole. So he is all right with lying to the people in his church and hiding you, but not with having a daughter before marriage? Am I the asshole for keeping an inheritance from my ex-husband's homophobic family? I, 33 female, married my childhood best friend John, 33 male, when we were 22. I knew he was gay, and we decided to get married for several reasons: taxes, convenience, to keep his family from finding out, etc. I got along with his family, who loved me. John had med school paid for by his family. I didn't have a job, and instead became a full-time caretaker for his maternal grandparents who, when we first got married, were 85 and 87 and were dealing with multiple health problems. John's family supported us both financially through John's medical training. Once John got his MD and finished residency 3 years ago, he decided to come out to his parents. We got divorced. We decided against telling the family that I knew all along. John's parents cut him off completely when he moved in with his boyfriend, basically disowning him. His grandparents weren't told about him being gay. Everyone was pretty much in agreement that it wasn't a good idea, as they were quite fragile physically and mentally at this point. But they knew we divorced. And whereas John used to come see his grandparents frequently, because his parents had disowned him, John decided to pretty much limit contact with his entire family and never really visited or called. On the other hand, I had been his grandparents' main caretaker for so long that I 1. Didn't have any other career training to support myself. 2. Figured it would make sense for me to continue being their caretaker, as they were rapidly declining, and didn't want them to adjust poorly to a lot of new changes. I moved into his grandparents' home with them. While I was angry at John's parents for their treatment of him, I still loved his grandparents who had always been kind to me. When they passed, within a few weeks of each other, his grandfather ended up willing almost their entire estate to me, about $12 million in assets. John and his mom each received about $50K. John and I discussed it, and I felt it was fair that he received a higher proportion, and we're both happy and comfortable with how we divided it. His parents on the other hand had expected to receive the bulk of the inheritance and accused me of abusing his grandparents and manipulating them into willing almost everything to me. Apparently they had made some business decisions, assuming they would receive the money. They also argued that they would have gone ballistic if they knew John was using their money to fund his lifestyle. I honestly hadn't thought of their will at all when they passed. It had never come up, but I feel John deserves the money after the way his parents treated him. And John tells me I deserve to be taken care of after I spent more than a decade of my life caring for his grandparents. Are we the assholes for keeping the inheritance when his parents had made plans based on their assumptions of the inheritance? NTA. Play stupid homophobic games, win stupid homophobic prizes. Not the asshole. Also, fund his lifestyle is killing me. Being gay is so expensive, you know. Not the asshole. The grandparents wanted you to have the money. They deliberately gave their daughter $50K so that she can't sue you. They were smart old people. I wouldn't be surprised if they knew about John's sexuality all along. Never underestimate people just because they are old. Not the asshole. If the people were of sound mind when they made the will, it was their wish for you to get the money. Once you have it, you have the right to do with it what you wish. Anyone else doesn't like it? Too bad, so sad. Not the asshole. The grandparents left it to you for a reason. Their children, his parents, didn't do jack shit to help care for them, so how dare they feel entitled to money that doesn't belong to them? Your ex's orientation doesn't even matter. You were given the money, and you shared it as you saw fit. Not the asshole. You took care of them and had no career because of all the unpaid work that you did. I don't know why you gave your ex some money, but that's your decision. You took care of them, likely when the very people foolishly relying on their money refused, and they rewarded you for it. Not the asshole. If they wanted the money so bad they should have been better people. Including but being homophobic. Not the asshole, but get a financial advisor right now. Do not wait. Also probably a lawyer in case the parents try to pull some of sound mind bullshit to get the will reversed. Best wishes, Redwood Tree. Am I the asshole for saying my 9-year-old niece is not welcome? As the title says, my niece is 9. She has a problem with stealing. She steals from everyone, everywhere she goes. She is spoiled and gets everything she wants and never faces consequences for these thefts. A few months ago, she stole a bracelet from my stepdaughter just a few months older than her. This bracelet is very special to my SD. It was the final gift she received from her late grandmother. When caught and confronted, she tried to claim that it belonged to her but that she didn't like it so she would give it to my SD. Every time she is at my home, I have to search her bag before she leaves. She will take toys, clothes, jewelry, anything. She robbed my kids' piggy banks. I have told my brother-in-law that I do not want her in my home because of her behavior. He brings her over with no warning and she steals. He tried to bring her over today. I finally turned her away. I said, I'm sorry, but until niece can follow the rules of my home and respect others' belongings, she is not welcome in my home, and I closed the door. My brother-in-law is livid. He said it was cruel to say that, especially in front of her. My husband said that he wishes I hadn't felt like I needed to say it, but that he understands why I did. He's currently dealing with the fallout. Several relatives have texted him, asking for our side of the story. He has been telling them exactly what I said and why. Some of them think I crossed a line and was too mean to a child. Others are on my side. So, Reddit, what do impartial strangers think? Am I the asshole? Edit. Wow, this really blew up overnight. I'm trying to read all the comments, but there are a lot. My niece has both parents. They are still married and together. I am not aware of any trauma concerning my niece, though it is always possible. She is very spoiled. She gets whatever she wants and I'm not sure either of her parents has ever told her, no. I have suggested that my brother-in-law get her some therapy or counseling, but he says there's nothing wrong with her, that she's only a child and children aren't perfect. Not the asshole. At least one adult needs to teach this child consequences before it's too late. And I have a fucking 9-yo. Not the asshole. Someone needs to teach this child right from wrong and her parents obviously aren't doing it. You didn't say, she's a horrible human being and I never want to see her again. You said, this bad behavior is not tolerated in my house and there will be consequences until she learns better. That's parenting. Hopefully it sticks. If it's compulsive, she needs help. If it's not, she needs consequences. Neither of those include enabling her behavior. Not the asshole. Is your brother-in-law going to yell at the cops for being cruel when his daughter is arrested for shoplifting when she's older? Not the asshole. Not the asshole. They're not correcting the behavior. It sounds like you're the first person to set boundaries with the little terror. She's in for a reality check when daddy can't get her out of trouble when she's older. She needs to learn consequences now when they're minor and not criminal charges. Your children, stepchildren deserve to feel that their belongings are safe in their own home. Everyone else's needs come secondary. The ones who say you have crossed the line, can have your niece visit them. Her parents are doing her no favors letting her get away with this behavior. Someone will eventually report her to the police. Stand your ground. Not the asshole. Either she has a problem and needs help, or she is screaming for attention, and her parents are neglecting her, and she needs help, or she is an entitled brat and reads consequences. All of the situations say the parents are completely failing this child. I don't think I've ever met a kid I didn't like or can't stand to be near, where the parents were not the main problem. Not the asshole. Someone needs to set limits. Even if the child has a legitimate problem, she still needs to accept responsibility for her behavior. Not the asshole. Niece is old enough to hear the truth. Good for you. Let me guess, her father drops her off during his parenting time and then leaves to do other things? Am I the asshole for letting my daughter wear a tiara to my cousin's wedding? My 32 female daughter Chloe, 4 female, has a fascination with princesses. She loves the color pink, wears only dresses, and has an array of tiaras she wears everywhere except at preschool where she can't, but she does have it in her backpack. My cousin 33 male, Alex, fake names, invited us to his wedding, which was this past Saturday. Chloe was excited because she got to dress up and stay dressed up the entire time. She also couldn't wait to see the bride's dress. She asked if she could wear her princess tiara and I said of course. We got to the wedding on time. However, the start time was delayed for unknown reasons. 15 minutes after it was supposed to start, one of the bridesmaids came out and told me that the bride Jen, 31 female, was refusing to come out because my daughter was wearing a tiara. I thought she was joking but she wasn't. Apparently, the bride was also wearing a tiara and wanted to be the only one wearing it. I told the bridesmaid that Chloe loves tiaras and always wears them. The bridesmaid said, not today she isn't, and told me it needed to be removed. I said no. The bride is a grown woman and was being petty over a child's tiara. The bridesmaid left for a couple minutes and then Alex himself came out. He told me to leave. I asked why and he said because I won't tell Chloe to take off her tiara. I said this was ridiculous and Alex said it's not my wedding and when I get married then Chloe can wear one to mine, but that I'm officially uninvited regardless. Others around me told me to just take it off and I wouldn't. Alex's mom came over and escorted us out. Chloe was upset and crying because she feels she did something wrong and I'm upset because I can't believe someone would be jealous over a literal 4-year-old. I also feel bad because Chloe was really looking forward to seeing Jen's dress because she loves wedding dresses. But literally no one is on my side. Am I the asshole? Edit. Someone asked if my cousin has a mental illness. I said no, but the bride has Asperger's and they said that's important for you all to know. You seriously need to parent up and teach your kid that there's a time and place for indulging your inner princess and a time and place for sitting back, following dress codes and letting other people shine, for example, at their own goddamn weddings. You were asked nicely but were petulant and entitled. You caused this. It's not over a child, it's over your lack of parenting. There's a reason nobody is on your side. You are the asshole. You are the asshole for not complying with the bride's request, demand. It is their wedding and their rules. There is a reason, literally no one is on my side, in this. Because you were wrong. Sorry, but you are the asshole. Yes, it was absolutely over the top idiotic for the bride to obsess over a for-yo wearing a tiara. But once she told you to take it off, you should have removed it. She's the bride, it's her party, she makes the rules. Yes, your daughter would have been disappointed to take it off, but I guess she was even more disappointed to miss the whole event. Your daughter is literally a 4-year-old child. For fuck's sake. How insecure must the bride be that she feels threatened by something like this? On the other hand, you could have handled the matter delicately and asked Chloe to take it off to diffuse the situation without further drama. I think that would be much better than letting them escort you out. For everyone. I am going with everyone sucks here. And #X200B. Edit. You know. Next time you know that the bride has Asperger's, mention it in the post maybe, because this makes you the asshole in the situation. YTA. You made a comment the bride has Asperger's, she may have not been able to move on because of her stress of the day or her expectations of the crown. Just because it was ridiculous to you doesn't mean it was to her. You could have explained to your daughter, who I'm going to guess is neurotypical, that mommy made a mistake and we can't wear the tiara for a little bit but can later. Edit. You are the asshole. For initially leaving out the information that the bride is on the spectrum and that you knew that before the wedding. Also for digging your heels in about it. Once it became an issue you should have left. Even if you were in the right, what's the point of staying after the first time they asked you to leave? Either remove the tiara or if you think you shouldn't have to remove it just leave. Info. In a comment you said the bride has Asperger's. Did you know this before the wedding? Without this info the bride seems ridiculously jealous of a child. With it the situation is a little different. Why not ask Chloe if she minded taking it off first? If I may ask. You are the asshole. If your daughter is able to understand she can't wear a tiara at preschool, she can understand that she can't wear it at the wedding. Once you were asked politely to remove it, you should have done so. Let your daughter hold it on her lap and just tell her today's Jen's special day and she wants to be the only princess. You can wear it in the car and all day tomorrow. You made a stink over it, held up someone else's wedding, and there's no indication your child wouldn't have just gotten over it.